Our next speaker is Cristian Dinu. Struggling now to find their affiliation.
All good.
Cristian, where do you work?
At UCL, art.
Okay. Cristian Dinu from UCL. And they will be speaking on the end of front end. What?
Yeah, it sounds like a clickbait title, but actually I believe that it's kind of true. You have the mandatory QR code that you don't have to scan because it will be back on the big screen at the end, so you don't have to follow more than with your eyes. And okay, just to check in everyone for pipe coding here. No. I mean, I intended to, but I had to cancel because no one wanted to. No one could access localhost 3000 for some reason, and it all kept turning Fibonacci numbers. So I tried to do pip install vibe coding, and it worked. So there is a package, not install it. So I'm Cristian Dinu. I work in energy projects at UCLR. And I try to be a friction remover because I help researchers make the available data accessible. And I deal into a lot of friction everywhere in my work as a tool builder and as a tool user, because I think that as RSCs, we all are more or less in both situations. And as a tool builder, I deal with endless UI, and by UI I also mean CLI. I build a CLI that has a command, a subcommand, and the config file and everything. After I have a backend, this doesn't require. Then if you want to do it properly, some of us write docs. I mean, sometimes I do as well, especially since I have GPT. Okay, not official. I hope it is not recording. And also endless support. So if I want to do this when I'm a tool builder, or a feature request and scope creep and everything, and as a tool user, and okay, I got new API, let's use it, and also glue code and boilerplate. So I wish I had the dream at some point. Okay, not like that famous person who had a dream. What if this computer understood me instead of me understanding computer? So, but we have a problem. There is a gap in between the needs of us and our users. Let's say I got here an example which is familiar because I work in energies. We try to find ways to convince people to charge their cars or do high intensity energy usage, such as running training LLM AI models when the energy is cleaner. But so you have the problem, you have the intent. I want to do this. And on the other hand, which way is it? This one. You have the rigid API. Okay, this is how you need to call me. Sometimes you know how to do it, otherwise you have to discover yourself, and so on. And as software engineers, we have to build bridges, sometimes out of stone, sometimes we just put a rope from here to there and hope that no one dies, and so on. So we try to fill the gap. If there was something that could understand your language, and we know, okay, we saw before what this is. You know, it's the LLM, and technically this should be a self-portrait. It's AI generated. It's signed, as you can see. Why did I put it in a jar? Because LLM by itself, as it was said about 40 minutes before me, is just a probabilistic model. You cannot do much without it. It has lots of knowledge embedded. It has skills embedded, information, but it cannot do much. And the way that we all met our friend LLM was like this. So we had the chat application, very good for brainstorming, doing homework, and other things, but not very good at actually actioning, doing something from the world, with the world, still very useful, revolutionary. But at some point, someone thought, and they're very clever, that maybe we can build tools. I know that fools with tools are still fools, but an LLM with tools is much better. Because we saw what happened with Perplexity, which was, I think it was my first experience with an LLM with a tool. Like you have the model and you say, okay, model, you can actually search the web whenever you need something that you are not trained, or it's too new for you to have it. Just go and search, get your data, put it back in the prompt, and continue what you are doing. And it worked very, very well. Well enough that when people wanted to scale it, there was a problem, because if you build custom tool 1, custom tool 2, and you want to integrate, there is a mess. Hard to maintain, expensive. So software engineers are very good at creating standards. We did one. It's only about 10 months old, I think, created at Anthropic. It is called Model Context Protocol, which should be the protocol for managing model context. But anyway, the idea is that we have a way, a consistent way to bridge the LLM, the large language model, which can be anything. It can be Llama, Gemini, it doesn't matter. You can run it locally, it doesn't matter. Instead of running it in a chat window, just in a chat window, you have an MCP client, which has, I think that the best equivalent would be like a browser. And it can access remote or local MCP servers for different ways. Here, there are three experimental, but quite advanced MCP servers that I create. Two of them I created as a wrapper to solid stable APIs, and the other one I just used, the Home Assistant one. You can get it. And the way that this works is that whenever you start your Cloud desktop or VS Code, we'll see, it looks for what tools it has available, what is the description, and it knows to call them. It knows to call them when is necessary. Okay, and the way that this works is that for each tool, it knows how to discover what it can do, how to parse both the intent of a user and respond properly. So you can think about MCP more like a contract, and I think that this will be probably the last time that you see this, because it is very well abstracted in tools that are used to create MCP. But it's quite simple. It was surprisingly simple to look at and understand what it does. So when as an MCP server, you expose a contract, you expose a tool, you say, this is my name, I fetch things. So this is a CURL or wget style tool for an LLM that it allows to LLM to go and fetch pages from the internet. It needs to tell the descriptions very well, to speak about them very well, because otherwise the LLM would not understand what the tool can do. So it's very good to give it a good description. Here I cut it because of space reasons, but a couple of sentences is very good. And then you give it an input schema, and there is an output schema as well, so that whenever the model wants to call your tool, it knows that, okay, I need to give it a URL and the maximum length, which it can be a default of 5,000, and it's a type of integer. So it is quite simple. It's JSON2 based. That doesn't actually matter what it is, because as I said, there are very, very good libraries to do this. I will move here because I want to type a bit more. So now we are going to build that bridge that I was talking about. And we are going to create our own little MCP server, which is a wrapper around on top of a very good API, stable. It has been with us for more than 7 or 8 years, that tells you how many grams of CO2 equivalent every kilowatts that we use now, or in the past or in the near future is. And If you want to do MCP development, you can do, you only need whatever you are already using. So for Python, of course, UV is the recommended way. If you want to have tools to inspect your work and see the details, you can also have Node, because Node has the official inspector. Like web dev tools, there is something similar for MCP as well. So with MCP, we need to think about semantic intent. And okay, boilerplate so far, yeah, UV needs CD add 2 packages. And the main Python, so this is what you start with. So you see, it's not normal code. And let's make this normal code that, so you already have it. You have a function that goes on the internet, retrieves, and okay. I mean, if you're good citizens, also do some try catch with some exceptions. Don't just do zero error handling, but let's do this simple function. Let's make it an MCP tool. And for that, we have the fast MCP is my favorite. There are quite a few libraries that do MCP. It's quite a trend now. This one is very good. It's for those of you who did fast API. It's very, very similar. Oh, no, not the same people. I think that's it. Okay. And now we create an instance of the server. And then we use Python annotation to say this is a tool. And optionally, you can name it. I wanted to name it because I want it to be nicer. And as you can see at the end, you can do MCP run. So that's it. We have a very simple basic tool, but it is there. And you can add, of course, parameters. This is a bit more complex, but you can say, I want to read the carbon intensity for some dates and some postcodes. So you need to. And what is important here is this. So what fast MCP does is it takes the docstring and serves it as the description for the service, which is great because it enforces good practices. You should write docstrings anyway. If for your colleagues, if not for the AI. So let's see this working. The advantages of having live demos is that if something doesn't work, you will understand. Okay. So this is what I showed you. Okay, with try already said. So MCP, I have a couple of tools here, and I say, okay, run it as a HTTP server, and I run. You already have an MCP client on your machine because it is part of any standard Copilot. I think you need Copilot to have this. No, see it. Okay, so first thing to do agents and MCP is to, okay, open this. And here where you have ask, you need to search for the agent. It sounds like in a spy movie, but it's not. It's not a spy film. It's, you go for agent, and now you have this thing called tools. I will just use Command-Shift-P and add a server, but actually let me just copy paste this fast. Okay, quickly. Then add server. It's an HTTP one. You can also, for security reason, want to run locally. And I says UK carbon intensity. And okay, let's make it globally available, which means globally is on my machine. And if you look at it, just added this small chunk on a file. Is it big enough? Should be. And now I can look at it if it's installed, like MCP list servers. Let's see. So I have UK carbon intensity running. Okay. Let's use it. what is the current carbon density? Of course, okay, this is GPT-5, can choose any model here. They could not have been trained with what is the current, so they cannot really answer by just doing that. So therefore, it says like, oh, I'm going to fetch. Can I? It is a good security measure not to just call things, because there are some security and privacy issues. I trust me a bit, so I will always allow this. So it went and it just, so I have, oh, wow, okay, this is really good. So I think the sun must be shining somewhere. Oh, yeah, we actually can answer like a fuel mix. Fingers crossed. Okay. Because it needs to understand that I'm asking about fuel mix. So okay, so it knows. Okay, because it's another endpoint, it asks me again. So okay. Oh, actually, it's wind that makes it so nice. So I have more tools. So if you look at servers, by default, this GitHub Copilot, I think it's GitHub Copilot, comes with pre-written MCPs. So you have an MCP that looks at your repository and can write on the file system, which is great, because I can say, can you put that? Okay, now tell me JSON, CSV, what should it be? YAML? TOML. Again, fingers crossed. I haven't tried with TOML. I tried with YAML. Okay. It will do. Meanwhile, I'll prepare you for the one. Okay. Okay. Hi, it's good. So it used the file system MCP to get the data that it got from the MCP, the other one. So again, I just stated my intent. And where I had, so I played with this, I think it was late spring, and where everything changed was when I realized that actually it can call multiple tools without me caring about it. And one example, so in Claude, I have more tools available. So I have one called email that can send emails. Okay, in the back, I configured it with my username and password over SMTP, so it works. I have the calendar one and so on. So let's try it. We can change Coventry with some action, check it. Okay, we are already in the future, okay? So I'm currently there. I want to charge my EV tomorrow or on Saturday when this looks a bit like programming, doesn't it? I tell it actually what to do, not necessarily how to do it. I just say that where I am and what my situation is. And I think that this one will take a bit longer, but okay. So, oh, thank you. So as you can see here, it's, who knows what the postcode for Sheffield is? Okay. I did not have to, the API says, give me the first part of the post code. This is what the tool description said there. And I didn't know what. I didn't have to know how to call this, but it just came up with, because of previous training, it was fed the information that was stolen from the internet to give it. So forecast hours, because 48 hours should be enough. Anyway, it returned the carbon intensity. And I should have showed you that there is nothing in my calendar for tomorrow. Oh, now it is. Okay, so it is okay. Let's see my email. It isn't fine already. So this was sent by the email MCP. The other one was used to create a calendar by them. Both of them run local for security reason, but we are good engineers. We know how to make them run remotely as well. So what just happened here, actually? So we provided capabilities. We said, like, this is how you call an API. This is what you get when you call this API. That's a capability. And this is another capability. This is my intent. And I used the LLM to build the workflow on the fly. It is not vibe coding. Vibe coding means you say, oh, give me the Python code to do this. I know it sounds fancy, but I use natural language as the programming language. But instead of telling it how, I said what. And it generally works because I think that I haven't seen questions yet, but how often does it hallucinate? Not as often as I expected. Actually, what I found is that the better data I feed it, the less hallucination can happen. So if you have a good MCP and you're there with what you need, so it works well. So I feel that this not for everything. So it's not one size fits all, and I think that it will not replace it tomorrow. But it's a change of paradigm of how we build interactions. So we can escape this. Oh, what the screens do we have to do? So just add an endpoint where the users can ask for something. Less support because they do it, and instant feature rollout. As in, I can go and say, can you save this in the SQLite? I just added a feature. I'm not cheating. It's like a SQLite is one of the MCP. I configured it to point to a file. Again, so no tables, okay? Okay. And I just added a new feature. So adding new features, I don't know if you'll see that it's feature air coded. So it looks if there are any tables, it creates a table. Append inside, yes. Okay, and at the end, it should also check if everything there. All right. Ta-da! Select star from EV, please work. Okay, hit that. Yep. New feature added. It is not magic. It's just that I had the proper MCP and capability installed. As a tool user, I think that it would be good if I could just not have to remember all the command lines. So I think that natural language could become not the universal flexible, but one of the important ways to do front-end programming. I wouldn't trust natural language as backend. Or if you say like, oh, you can fly our airplane, it was built with LLMs. Maybe not, but for many use cases, I think it is a brilliant way. So the way that I think this the front end will change will that we will have a reliable backend, very reliable and well documented, and then we have MCP as a contract to expose it to different ways. So I showed you how to do it with chat, but it works very well with voice. I can not do it here because of different constraints, but I will be outside. If you want to speak to a robot that does this, not robot. So yeah, the front end is not disappearing, it's appearing, it's just transforms. And I'm quite curious to see what we will build because I feel that I have superpowers. I mean, I'm not talking only from I'm talking also from some experience. I mean, I cannot give details because it's one of the large manufacturers of heat pump, but we are in talks to do this for real and the production. So, yep. Again, the QR code, if you want to see the presentation, source code and everything is there. Happy to answer your questions. Thank you. So first question.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What do you do when things go wrong? How do you debug and how can you be confident that the output is truly correct?
Yeah, my experience with debugging was that I added different sentences to my English language program. So it was, I realized that actually did not save in the table that I wanted. And I said, okay, please send it to the table. So there are, okay, so you have the normal debugging. So we are looking at debugging the MCP server, which is traditional if-then-else programming. So the server itself, what you saw there with import path MCP, is just like any other web app or CLI. So there you do debug using the provided inspector. You say npx -y and MCP inspector, and it starts. So you can test your things there, your code. In terms of what the LLM can come up with, I don't have enough experience. But what I can tell you is that there were no huge mistakes. As in, it didn't start to speak about llamas or anything. It's like when I asked it about energy. And what I think will happen in the future is that we are going to use large models to train small models. And if the large heat pump manufacturers want to do something for their clients, we will not use Claude Opus, something that knows how to reply as a Shakespearean sonnet and advanced mathematics. We are just going to use something which is specialized, and the chance of that going wrong is much smaller because it cannot think about Shakespeare if it doesn't know about Shakespeare.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christian. Second question, but is it really suitable for RSCs? The first question we ask is how we deploy. And since we don't often have funds for ongoing deployment, we wouldn't want to tie our delivery to a proprietary product.
Yeah.
That might also change.
Yeah, I did not speak too much about deployment, but you saw how in the previous talk you can start Olama and run it on your machine. You can do the same here. I used VS Code and Claude Desktop to show you because it was much easier and more showy back then. But you can do your Python script that calls, so you can do import MCP client, and you can call and model with MCP or without MCP or just the MCP. So in terms of deployment, you can have lots of flexibility. You can deploy locally, or you can deploy with one of the. You can keep costs very low by using not so clever models. I think that Google Gemini to Flash is the chip. I think that the Chinese ones, if you is cheaper. I cannot recommend that exactly, but always you can run it locally. So you can have your local server that does with a couple of GPUs. You can do it with a very tiny little model just to do this blue code thingy.
We're all out of time. Thank you for coming to the end session.
Be on site.